What's your response to reports of Americans?
Kamala Harris laughing at reporters, firing questions off of what happened on the darkest day of the White House. It's Biden's botched exit out of Afghanistan. Critics say Biden rushed it to get a positive headline for the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Neither of them have apologized for what happened. It's now a 2024 election problem. Joining us now, retired Lieutenant Colonel Bob Maginnis. Colonel Maginnis served in the U.S. Army for 24 years. Colonel, it's good to see you again. What do you make of this?
Thanks, Liz.
It's Vice President Harris did put out a statement. Neither of them showed up for these ceremonies. Does she owe the families of the 13 service members an apology? It's the third anniversary of this. Statements, yes, but they didn't show up at memorial ceremonies. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she owes them a grave apology. You know, keep in mind, that if you're going to send our children to war and they come home in a box, you better be there. And it's not time to check your watch, but it's time to grieve with those parents. And those Gold Star parents have not heard from either Biden or Harris since that day in Dover where they received those bodies. So yes, an apology is due. But I think in a larger perspective, Liz, Ms. Harris said that she was the last in the room with Biden when he made this successful decision. Well, if that's indicative of what she's going to do as president, then we have a lot more Abbey-Gate catastrophes in our future.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal editorial page agrees with you. Watch the White House spokesperson John Kirby defend Biden claiming no troops died anywhere on the world in his watch. 13 died in Afghanistan, 3 in Jordan. He's defending how Biden engaged, is he engaged in the Middle East? He's been taking 2 weeks off for vacation. You're going to hear from Gold Star families speaking out after they lost their loved ones. You're going to hear John Kirby saying he does not regret saying there was no chaos in the exit out. Watch this.
We are all grieving over something that should have never, ever happened. It's the lack of accountability that has really upset the nation on this. It is the lack of empathy and sympathy for a situation that could have easily been at least say I'm sorry, at least apologize for lack of leadership.
It remains true that he hasn't reached out to them since being when the bodies were brought home. There's been a lot of frustration that he hasn't said their names publicly. Does he see this? Does he understand kind of the pain the family members have reflected related to him?
I don't think you're ever going to find a commander-in-chief of the United States of America and our military who better understands what grief is like.
All this talk of chaos, I just didn't see it, not from my perch.
Look, I think the line's being taken a little bit out of context, and I don't regret saying it.
All right, he doesn't regret saying it. They're not publicly saying the names of the 13 service members murdered. But now you got hundreds of former aides to Bush, Romney, and McCain endorsing Harris. And Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, who's Trump's national security advisor, says, there's exercises in competitive sycophancy where Trump's advisors would flatter Trump. So that is all coming out, right now. What do you make of all that in the context of Biden's foreign policy here?
Well, I go back to what General McKenzie, who was the CENTCOM commander at the time, Liz, what he said is that because of the debacle in Afghanistan on his watch, Biden's watch, that Putin took advantage of it and went into Ukraine. And the Chinese Communist leader, President Xi, is exercising more muscle in the Pacific because of that. So there are consequences when you're sitting in the Oval Office and making these tough decisions. If there are dead Americans coming home, you have a responsibility. And the same thing elsewhere across the world. Yeah,
let's listen to General Kenneth McKenzie, who was in charge of Central Command at the time of the botched exit out of Afghanistan. Listen to this.
What do you think the consequences are broadly of the collapse and us not being there?
Well, I think on several levels. I think Putin's invasion of Ukraine was directly driven by this. I think the Chinese were emboldened as a result of it. I think that more operationally, I think ISIS-K flourishes now in Afghanistan. The attack in Moscow just a few months ago is only a sign of things to come.
Your reaction?
Yeah, we're going to see some of the same thing because of an open border and because ISIS-K is still alive, as is Al-Qaeda, and we're vulnerable today because of those bad decisions.
Colonel Maginnis, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you, Liz.